All right, hey, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kabbalah Café. This is a great way to start the week with a jolt of cafe. Can we say that? What does that even mean? The jolt of maybe coffee and a jolt of Kabbalah. And it is promising to be a great experience. So here's the deal. Kabbalah, I would say Judaism, but specifically Kabbalah, has a bit of an obsession with numbers. But who's counting? I'm kidding. Has an obsession with numbers. Why do I say that? So a lot of the Kabbalists, when you study Kabbalah, a lot of the Kabbalists dabbled in Gematria, which is numerology. You also have anecdotal evidence that some of the great mathematicians of history studied Kabbalah. And I'm not going to reveal these names because you can search them on your own. But some of the great mathematicians had a Kabbalistic interest and studied Kabbalah. There's a lot of Kabbalah and physics crossover. But Ramon, it's good to see you. It's been like years. And good to come on in. Grab a seat. Make some space. There you go. All right. It's crowded, but where there's room in the heart, there's room around the table. All right. So the great Kabbalists loved numbers, and the great numbers people loved Kabbalah, and so you have a lot of crossover. So today we're going to talk about numbers, specifically two numbers, the numbers 49 and 42. Now, you might be thinking, 49 and 42, is that my Powerball? Is that the key to the Powerball? 800 million. I just saw this morning it's up to 800 million. Yeah. I wonder why I never win the lottery, and then I realized because I never buy a ticket. That's it. Boom. What was the New York State Lottery? I remember back in the day, their slogan was, all it takes is $1 and a dream. What a great slogan to stir the gambling juices, right? I mean, seriously. All it takes is $1 and a dream. I mean, seriously. Talk about getting people hooked. But anyway, so look, numbers, 49 and 42. Okay, if I were to ask you, I know I just now planted these two numbers. Yeah, but what's your favorite Jewish number? Let's go. Favorite Jewish number? 3. 7. Ooh, all right. What else? 7. 18. I was waiting for the 18. I just checked if you have a chai necklace, but you don't have a chai necklace?
I have, but I didn't wear it.
Oh, you have it not wearing it. Okay. 18. What else? What are some other lucky Jewish numbers? Or 36. 613. Oh, excellent. Wait. 1. Yeah. That is true. 26. Should we open up some of these numbers? Right? 26. Havaya, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, God's name. God's 4-letter name is the Gematria numerology of 26. 26 is a very special number, mystical number. 13, Bar Mitzvah. 13 is also the numerology of the word Echad, which means 1. So the number 1 is 1, obviously. It'd be weird if it wasn't 1. The numerology of 1 is 1, but the numerology of the Hebrew word for 1, Echad, is 13. Interestingly enough.
So how do you come? Just add numbers for each...
Yeah, well, there's different ways. Numerology, we should probably do that course again. I've done it a few times. It's a fun... Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a great exploration. There's different ways to do it. There's a bunch of different systems, but the most basic system of Hebrew numerology is you assign a number to each letter, starting from the first letter. And the first letter is 1, second letter is 2, you go through 10. And then the 11th number is not 11. Becomes 20. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 400. So it goes single digits, double digits, triple digits, and then it kind of closes out from there. There's 22 Hebrew letters, and so Aleph, the first letter, is 1, and Taf, the last letter, is 400. So that's kind of how it scales. And then you just add up the numbers. So Aleph Echad is Aleph, Ches, and Dalet. So Aleph is the first letter, it's 1. Ches is the 8th letter, so it's 8. Dalet is the 4th letter, so it's 4. 1 plus 8 plus 4, carry the 12. Divide it by a fractional figure, I'm kidding. So that's 13. Straight up 13. What's significant about 13? Significant about 13? I don't know.
13 constellations.
Boom. There you have it. 13 constellations. And more surprises coming up. Look, 49 and 42 are our focus today. There are a lot of lucky Jewish numbers, a lot of special Jewish numbers, a lot of mystical Jewish numbers. But today, what is the significance of 49 and 42? First of all, where do they show up? Where do they show up? What do they mean? And how can they change our lives or influence our lives? That is coming up today on Kabbalah Café. But first, a word from our sponsor. Kidding. But first, I want to talk about the great duality of life. And the great duality of life, that would be a perfect product placement, right? If we got a corporate sponsor, it would be a great segue to like Kroger bagels, the kosher bagel of choice. So it's fine if I entertain myself also, and then at your expense. That also works for me. So here we go. There are two modalities of the human experience, and it's framed in the books of Scripture when referring. It's probably from Isaiah when it refers to the angels. It's either Isaiah or Ezekiel when it refers to the angels, the chayot angels, v'hachayot ratzo v'shuv. It says that they were running and returning. The angels, the chayot angels, the type of angels, were running and returning. What does that mean? So Kabbalah explains that in life, you have two modalities, two fundamental or essential, without which life does not exist. And it's the tension between expansion and contraction. Now, if I say that life is predicated on expansion and contraction, you might say, what are you talking about? What's expansion? What's contraction? But if I told you that, think about your heart and think about your heartbeat and think about how literally life, blood is pumped through your veins and how that's a product of the heart expanding and contracting, now may make a little bit more sense. Or think about your breath. Think about your breath, your lungs expanding and contracting with each breath. Every breath you take, every move you make, or something like that, right? What a creepy song. So the point is expansion and contraction. Ratzo v'shuv. The angels are running and they're returning. Let's pause for a moment and frame this from a different place. Think about fire and water. The two of the most basic elements of life. Fire and water. Fire is the modality of expansion. Water is the modality of contraction. Why do I say that? Fire separates things, right? You apply fire to a piece of paper. It used to be a solid piece of paper. You apply some fire to it, what do you have? A lot of pieces, a lot of small fragments, right? We might call it ashes, but a lot of small fragments. It took something that was whole and it separated it, expanded it on some level. Water, you take flour, which is a bunch of little pieces, as far as I can tell, and you mix water into it, and you knead it together. What happens? You've taken separate things and you brought it together. It's the idea of contraction, making many into one. So you have fire, which opens things up, breaks things apart. Water, which coalesces and brings things together. Fire goes up, water goes down. It's the natural nature of things. And so in human beings, we have these two necessary drives. The drive of expansion, the drive of contraction, or maybe more precisely in our experience, the drive to seek things that are higher and the drive to seek things that are lower. And no, I'm not talking about lower drives that are unhealthy or materialistic or narcissistic, but rather speaking about, even in a positive spiritual way, a drive to bring things down and to ground them in our experience. So some people come to a Kabbalah class on a Sunday morning to be taken for a ride. not taken for a ride, sorry. To be taken, that sounds wrong. To be taken on a ride, on a journey, taken for a ride. This is not even Kabbalah, I'm kidding. Right, to be taken on a ride.
Just to get here.
Just to take you to get here is a ride.
To get mitzvah.
Right. So some people come to Kabbalah to get like their consciousness expanded. Some people might come to a Kabbalah class to get practical advice. Like, I want to know what to do. Two different interests. One is to leave the parameters of what's known or knowable or the everyday or the ordinary. I want to leave. I want to elevate out of this. I'm stuck in this the whole week. I want to like transcend a little bit. And some people are like, no, I want more grounding. I want tools that I can implement. My goal is to do a little bit of both. Why? Because that is the balance of the human being. The expansion and the contraction. Let me frame this a little bit differently. When God speaks to Moses, in the days preceding the events at Mount Sinai, the giving of the Torah at Sinai, what does God tell Moses? He tells him, go up the mountain, and I will come down as well. Two different movements. Moses should go up, and God says, I will come down. And that kind of makes sense because, how do you even meet God? Somewhere in the middle, right? I got to go up, and he's got to go down because otherwise it's going to be too disconnected. But it also, once again, reflects this duality. That on the one hand, the purpose is to transcend, to go up, to leave the terrestrial, status quo, and to ascend the mountain. Not only the literal mountain, but the figurative mountain. But then there's another goal, and that is to bring heaven down to earth, to bring God down. And not just to the top of the mountain, but down into the valley also, to bring God all the way down. Two different directional movements, two polarities even, as it were. I mean, even in, I just mentioned polarity. You talk about a magnet. You have a positive and a negative. There's always this duality. The same thing is true in life. There's a duality, there's a tension between seeking to escape and seeking to be grounded. And again, I'm not talking about the tension between the godly soul and the animal soul, between higher self and lower self. Even within the godly soul experience itself, even in a healthy, positive, divine space, there are two ways to do this. We can escape or we can integrate. So I'll give you another example. Yom Kippur. What would you say? A day of integration or a day of escape? Absolutely escape. Yom Kippur is the one day on the calendar that everybody is told, today you're meant to escape. Now you might be thinking, what do you mean? What am I escaping? I'll give you a list. You want a list? There's 5 things that you have to escape from. Eating and drinking, right? Anointing yourself, whatever. All of the things that we don't do on Yom Kippur. What's the rationale behind it? The rationale is that today is not a day to be grounded in your body experience. Even if you're going to do holy things. Well, hold on, I'm going to eat and use the energy to pray better. No groundedness. Today is a day that you're meant to actually separate out from your earthly existence and to become a little bit more like an angel. Today is a day to wear white, like the angels. The angels shop, for white, fluffy garments. I'm kidding, but the angels are considered to have a white aura around them, which represents chesed. The point is that the Kohen Gadol wore white, the high priest wore white while doing the Yom Kippur service. In fact, that's one of the things that we're going to explore in the new Kabbalah course starting after the holidays. There's a 6-week JLI Kabbalah course that I helped edit. I was one of the course editors. It's a fantastic course, and one of them is about triggering different sefirot above based on the colors of the clothes that you're wearing.
It's a new course.
Brand new. brand new. And as somebody who worked on it extensively, it is brand new. We've created brand new Kabbalah. And I'm kidding. No, but it's brand new stuff. It's not based on any other courses. Yeah, after the Chagim. Yeah. It's a fantastic course. It's called the Kabbalah, it's called Kabbalah and the Hidden Architecture of You. Bit of a long title. Of you. You. I mean, and me, but mainly you. Okay, so human beings possess this dual need, this dual instinct, this dual drive, the drive to escape, the drive to return. Yom Kippur is a day of escape. Shabbat, on some level, is also a day of escape. On some level. Not to the extent of Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is called Shabbat Shabbaton. It's the Shabbat of all Shabbats. So it's like Shabbat supercharged. It's like going with the 93. 93? You fill up your car? Yeah? Is that what the supercharged fuel is? Hey, good to see you guys. Welcome. You found us. Don't worry, we weren't hiding. Come on in. Here, let's grab some seats.
How are you?
Doing great. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. You got it? Here. Grab some breakfast. So Shabbat is not to the extent of Yom Kippur, meaning it's not to the extent of, I'm not eating, I'm not drinking, I'm not wearing leather shoes, I'm kind of trying to live this kind of higher existence and this, very spiritual, serene reality. Shabbat is a day of rest in which we're like avoiding some of the mundane things or abstaining from some of the mundane activities that typically govern our day to day, but, it's not to the same extent. However, in a small measure, it is. It's a little bit about escape. In fact, in Kabbalah it says that on Shabbat what happens? We have aliyot ha'olamot. We have an ascension of the worlds. All the worlds are elevated to a higher space. Especially the sphira, the energy of Malchut, which we've been talking extensively about. Malchut elevates. Malchut is the lowest and really gets involved in what it creates, kind of hands-on. Malchut, the terminology used for Malchut is her feet descend into a space of death, meaning Malchut is kind of like descending into the nether plane, the nether world. And at the same time, on Shabbat, Malchut is elevated. And so Shabbat represents the idea of ascension, the idea of getting out of the fray and elevating a little bit above. And the point of all this, because there is a connection in this yin and yang, and I don't know if I'm using that in the technical sense, but the connection between the expansion and the contraction, between the elevation or ascension and the groundedness is the following. And this is very important. The goal of the transcendence is to be greater, is to have a greater grounding. Meaning, what is the goal of Yom Kippur? What is the goal of the inspiration of leaving everything behind for a day and just communing with God for 24 hours? What's the point? Just to have a day that's like, just lost to the calendar and just, lost to reality, just totally lost in the divine experience? I mean, there's value in that. But really the value is that the next day, as I return, as I come back to earth, it should be in a way of a little bit more intentionality. Human beings have struggled with this duality since the beginning, since the dawn of time. And by the way, you see different approaches, even within, let's say, the Jewish community, within human beings, you see different approaches. You see people who lean into the escapism of religion, of Judaism, and say, well, I'm going to be so into my faith and into my thing that I'm going to block out everything else. I'm going to create a ghetto, as it were, around my community, around my home, around this and that, to keep out everything else. And this is going to be a place that is on heaven, or in heaven, not even on earth. That's one approach. And then you have an approach that says, no, we have to be integrated, we have to be grounded, we have to be so integrated and grounded that we might never even peak into heaven. These are the two extremes. Obviously, a healthy heartbeat includes both expansion and contraction. Healthy lungs expand and contract. If the lungs are only expanding and not contracting, you got a problem. If they're only contracted and not expanding, it's also a problem. You need both. You need expansion and contraction in order for a healthy human body to work, and the same thing is true with the soul and our spiritual experience. You need both the expansion and the contraction, which means in very simple terms, the goal of life is to not only is not only to indulge in the spiritual, it's not only to transcend the mundane, but it's to bring that inspiration back into reality and back into groundedness so that when I go to work, it's in a different way. This is, I think, one of the biggest areas that people can get confused about. Some people say like this: my life is divided into two segments. There's my real life, or my regular life, or my normal life, or my, whatever life, and then there's my Jewish life. So there's, who I am as a human being, and how I eat, and how I sleep, and how I go to work, and how I shop, and how I this, and then I go to synagogue, right? Then I go to shul, and I go however often I go, or whatever it is, I go to shul, I go to learn, I do a mitzvah, but I have two separate realities. There's who I am, during the day. There's my Clark Kent, and there's my Superman. And there's two different realities. Yeah. And the reason why I said it's a mistake is because the whole point of this is not that there should be two separate realities, but that the two should integrate. That the expansion should then fuel the contraction, meaning that the inspiration, when we go to shul, or we come to a class, or we do a mitzvah, that should inspire us to the point that the next time we go to work, it's a little bit different. Or the next time we eat something, it's a little bit different. So now your expansion is impacting your contraction. Now it's healthy. But otherwise, if I bifurcate, which is a word that no one should try to use in a regular conversation, but if I try to lobotomize, if I cut apart, if I split these two parts of self, it doesn't benefit my spiritual health. Because what it means is that my expansion is one reality, my contraction is another, but they're not working together. That doesn't make for a healthy heart, that doesn't make for healthy lungs, that doesn't make for a healthy soul. The expansion and the contraction are meant to be running in parallel with each other, not somehow against each other or indifferent to each other. They're meant to work together with each other, which means, again, that the moments of yearning, the moments of connection, the moments of transcendence, when I feel inspired, that should fuel something different about my regular day-to-day normal life. Otherwise, what happens? We've separated the two realities. So my soul has a wonderful experience, but my body remains the same. So what happened? It's almost like I escaped, and when I got back, nothing changed. It's like, great. The point was changed. It's like the joke that I told recently about the guy who walks into a bar. I told this past Monday, but I'll share it again because not everyone was there. So the guy walks into a bar. He orders a shot of scotch or whatever, whiskey. He drinks it. He takes the glass and he throws it at the bartender. The bartender ducks. It smashes in the wall behind him. He says, "What are you doing? Du bist meshuga? Are you crazy? What are you doing?" He says, "I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. Ever since I got back from the war, whatever it is, I'm traumatized. I have PTSD, whatever it is. I can't, it's all this stuff. I'm so ashamed. I'm so embarrassed. I have to deal with my issues, my anger issues." He runs out. So ashamed. All right, comes back a few weeks later, orders another whiskey, drinks it, takes the glass, fires it at the head of the bartender. Again, he ducks, smashes. So you crazy. He said, I'm so ashamed, I'm so embarrassed, I'm so apologetic, the whole thing. He runs out. But before he runs out, the bartender says, look, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Don't come back into this bar. Like, you're not going to get served until you come back with like a medical note that you've gone to therapy, you've seen a therapist. And he comes back 6 months later. He's got his doctor's note. He orders a whiskey. He drinks it. He takes the glass, throws it at the guy's head. Says, I thought you were in therapy. He's like, I was. And now I'm no longer ashamed. I no longer feel guilty. I'm no longer ashamed. No longer embarrassed. Right? The point of it is not to escape for the sake of escape. The point of it is to escape for the sake of change. To ground it in experience. So if we go to shul and we have a meaningful experience and we pray to God and we find ourselves, in a space of transcendence. We find ourselves elevating. We find ourselves connecting. That's great. But the question is, what happens when we close the prayer book and we walk out of shul? What happens the moment afterwards? Let's put it this way. If after this class, we get back onto the road, and if someone takes a turn in front of us, if what we're going to do is, and then, give a salute out the window, then what's going on? Meaning the point is, I was driving with my kids once, Roswell Road, and there were a truck and a car were just locked into one of those, horn battles where they're just both like on the horn. They were both saluting each other out the window. I'm like, guys, look over there. Look the other direction. Anyway, the purpose of the experiences that we have that are elevatory experience, the whole purpose of that is to ground it back into our day-to-day lives. And the point of our day-to-day lives is to channel the inspiration and bring it home. It's all about integration. I would say that that's at the heart of Judaism, and it differentiates in a very strong way between Judaism and other faiths. In other faiths, if you want to reach the pinnacle of spiritual achievement, let's think about it very, very, very clearly here. If you want to reach the pinnacle of spiritual achievement in other faiths, you can't be married. You can't be in a physical relationship. Right? No, I'm saying the Pope, I don't know, you can't be in a physical relationship. Why? Because you have to be married to God. You can't be married to a human. You have to be married to God in some faith, in some traditions, right? What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that it's all about the transcendence. And am I grounding it into my experience? No, you're not supposed to have an experience. It's only supposed to be about climbing the mountain. Do I ever come down the mountain? No, you're not coming down the mountain. That's why when people think of spirituality, most people, I believe, not that I'm in anyone's head, but I think when most people think of having a spiritual experience, you think about somebody on top of a mountain meditating. You probably don't think about somebody, ladling food in a soup kitchen as a spiritual experience. You think of that as a chesed experience, but not as a spiritual experience. Which is why when the angels came to visit Abraham after his circumcision, at the ripe old age of 99, right? What happens? They come in, they want to give him blessings for healing and blessings for a child and a few different things. And he invites them into his tent. We've been talking about Avram's chesed, right? Last week we talked about the idea of chesed, kindness, how kindness can take on different forms. And he's feeding them. Come on in. He makes them cakes and breads and chema v'chalav. Chema is butter and chalav is milk. And v'eshabakar asher asa, and he makes a calf. What's the meat of a calf called? What is that? I don't know. Beef? It's not beef. Flesh. Veal. He makes them veal. Whatever it is, a whole feast. Like a 12-course feast. 3 Michelin stars. A tire company. Anyway, Michelin star. He's giving them food, and the angels say, Aye Sarah Ishtai. Where's Sarah, your wife? And I once saw this beautiful explanation according to Kabbalah. Why were they asking about his wife? So Rashi says because it's polite. When you meet someone, you say, hey, how's your spouse doing? Okay, fine. But the Kabbalists have another twist to it. And the Kabbalists say when the angels came down to earth, they were excited. Because in heaven, they knew Abraham was generating a ton of light. He was a guy that was just explosively light and bright. So they come down to earth. They've been sent by God to interact with him. They're like, yes, can't wait for this. This is we got the best mission ever. Some angels have to, who knows what, go into the outfield. I'm kidding. Angels in the outfield. Right. Some angels have to go, who knows where. These angels get to meet with Abraham. Wow, they're so excited. They show up, they're waiting for a guy to be teaching and meditating and, say, join me around my tree. They would sit with their legs like this, and they would hold their hands like this, and they would close their eyes, and they would slowly levitate. They were expecting that. And what's their first impression of Abraham?
Doubled over in pain.
Well, also, yeah. I'm not going to focus on the pain part. He's a chef. What is this? Is it Abraham? What, he cooks? He cooks? What kind of guy cooks? What? A tzaddik is cooking? That's a great t-shirt. This tzaddik is cooking. But the tzaddik is cooking? What's happening here? The greatest tzaddik on earth, the greatest righteous man on earth, and he's cooking? He's preparing food?
Good husband.
What is this? So they said, where's Sarah, your wife? Because maybe the lines got crossed. Maybe it's not him. Maybe he's just the chef. Maybe he just likes to cook. He just likes to cook. Maybe his wife, that's where the light's coming. The light was coming from the tent. Maybe it's the wife. So he says, no, she's in the tent. Meaning, you're not going to see it with her either. If you want to know what it means to be holy on earth, it means that when a guest comes, off the street or whatever it is, someone needs a meal, you cook a meal, you give them some food. That's what it means not to be a mensch and not to be kind. That's what it means to be holy. Which means that, yes, is there value in the ascension and the transcendence? Sure. But only insofar as when push comes to shove and somebody needs a meal that you're ready to roll up your sleeves and get some flour on your nose. You don't have to get the flour on your nose, but you know what I mean, right? Because if that's missing, then what was the transcendence about? If after Yom Kippur, after 24 hours steeped in prayer and fasting and all that stuff, if right afterwards, the only thing we feel is annoyance at the person that cuts us off on the way to break our fast, then guess what? I'm not going to say it was a wasted experience, but if it's not being grounded, then what just happened? We had almost an out-of-body experience, and then what? Nothing. No change. No change? Garnished? No impact? Gewalt. I invested 24 hours in connecting with God, and all I got was his t-shirt. And nothing else? Nothing changed? Not even the t-shirt, because who's printing up that t-shirt, right? And nothing changed? So then what was it for? It's a bracha levatala. It's a wasted blessing. It's an opportunity, but we didn't take advantage of it. And so in Judaism, and I think it's unique, not that I know all religions and all spiritual paths, but I think there's something unique about it, where the focus is not, look, there have been many movements in history that have said spirituality, asceticism, meditation, separate out from the mundane, and that's how you become holy. There are many movements that talk about hedonism, right? That talk about, indulging in the physical. But Judaism and Kabbalah, which, explains the heart and soul of Judaism is really about a hybrid. Not really hybrid, but it's about bridging the two realities of soul and physical, of spirit and matter. It's about transcending, but then integrating. It's about climbing up the mountain and then bringing heaven down to earth. It's about that dual motif. And there are moments in time in which we're meant to transcend and moments in time in which we're meant to integrate. Meaning, just like there's a moment in time where your heart expands and then another moment where it contracts, there are different moments. They don't happen at the same time. They could happen one right after the other. So let's talk about the day, the morning routine. So in the morning, we know that there's prayer. There's time for prayer, shacharit, the morning prayer. And after prayer, we go to work, right? And so what's that? That's the expansion and the contraction, right? So we escape a little bit in prayer, however long however long we want to invest in that, whether it's the whole prayer service in the morning, which is maybe 45 minutes, or an abridged version, which could be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you feel, whatever you're up to. So you have the moment of expansion, expanding your consciousness, thinking about God, thinking about things that are bigger, meditation, etc. You're transcending a little bit. And then you integrate it. Then you eat something, and you go to work, and you meet with people, and you have conversations. And now you're meant to be a little bit more of a mensch because you had that communion with God. This is the healthy approach. Three prayers a day, 3 opportunities. Prayer is always considered to be in the modality of escape. That's what prayer is. I know we talked about Yom Kippur versus the rest of the year, but within the daily routine, tefillah, times of prayer, are always about the ascension. And then the other activities are about groundedness. The truth is, within the Jewish, the Jewish pillars, you have some that are about transcendence and some that are about grounding. So again, prayer is always about transcendence. But when it comes to doing a mitzvah, doing a mitzvah, that's very much a grounded experience, right? Doing a mitzvah means I'm taking something of the physical world, I'm wrapping tefillin, right? I'm putting on a talit, I'm lighting Shabbat candles, I'm giving tzedakah, whatever it is, I'm doing a physical action, that's definitely grounded. So there are moments in time. So tefillah, prayer, is about ascending and transcending. And then mitzvah is about impacting, about grounding my inspiration in something tangible and something physical. And that's the yin and the yang. That's the duality. That's the dance that is at the heart and at the epicenter of Judaism. The expansion and the contraction, which takes us to the numbers 42 and 49. What are the numbers 42 and 49? So, anybody familiar with the number 42? I mean, yes. I think Jackie Robinson was 42, right? 42. What is the number 42 about? What biblical significance does the number 42 have? Who remembers? Biblical significance? But as this is Jeopardy, you have to phrase it in the form of a question, because the answer is 42. And the question is, what were the number of the Israelites' journey throughout the desert? 42. Mem bet masaot, 42 journeys. When the Torah enumerates from when they left Egypt until 40 years later, until they got to the Holy Land, to the Promised Land, to Israel, they had 42. Now you could say it's one journey. Yeah, but there were like 41 stops, however the math works out. There were 42 segments of the journey. And the Torah actually lists, one of the Torah portions, lists all of the journeys, meaning they went from here to there to there. And they sometimes spent only one night in a place, and sometimes they spent a few years in a place. But there were 42 segments to the journey, 42 journeys. So how do you go from Egypt to Israel? 42 stops.
Hello, would take an hour and a quarter.
Guys, they don't ask for directions. It's like 40 years later, Moses, are we there yet? No. He's like, I know exactly where we're going. He's holding the map. Can you imagine?
There were no roads there.
Or was it this? Exactly. Right, yeah. The roads were less paved. No, of course it was a straight shot. God had told them they need to wander for 40 years because that generation had to die out. He didn't want to kill them those that had sinned with the sin of the spies. He didn't want to kill them instantly. He wanted to let them die a natural death. Anyone between the age of 20 and 60 passed away, natural death, and then the next year their kids were the ones to go into the promised land. But the point is, there are 42 journeys. Now, how would you characterize going from Egypt to Israel and what they represent spiritually? Would that be an act of a movement of ascension, of ascent, or descent? What do you think? From Egypt, from biblical Egypt to Israel. You think that's going up or going down? What do you think? Absolutely going up. In fact, even today.
We say ole.
Ole, right? So someone who makes aliyah, someone who moves to Israel, we say, oh, you're making aliyah, or I made aliyah, or he made aliyah, or she made aliyah. What is aliyah? Aliyah means ascent. You went up. You elevated. You got upgraded. You got promoted. So to go from Egypt, from Mitzrayim, which, by the way, then, has anyone been to Egypt? Yeah? You walk like an Egyptian? In Egypt? Is that how? How's your hieroglyphics? Took the camel. It's funny, my son just went, my oldest son, Nassan, was just in the Grand Canyon this past week. And he said that they had mule rides down. And he's like, I don't know if I want to get on a mule. I'm like, I don't know if they feel a little too confident about the journey. Has anyone gotten a mule down to the Grand Canyon?
The path is extremely narrow.
Right, so he's like, he wasn't up for that. Anyway, the point is, if you're going from Egypt, which in the language of our sages was called Ervat Haaretz back then, which means the most immoral place on earth. That's what they had on their welcome to Egypt, the most immoral place on earth. That was in their tourism brochure. What happens in Egypt stays in Egypt, right? That was their motto. So Egypt was Ervas Haaretz. It was the abomination of the world at that point in time. Slaves and who knows what. All right. So to go from there to the promised land is an aliyah, is an ascent. How do you get, how many stops are there from below to above, from the lowest to the low to the highest of the high? 42. Let's pause for a moment. What about 49? What about the number 49? Where do we find the number 49?
49 weeks from Pesach.
49 days, right? The 7 weeks to 49 days. Sfirat HaOmer. From Pesach, from Passover, right, to Shavuot, meaning from the day of the Exodus, or the day after, until the day they received the Torah at Sinai, 49 days. So we have 42 journeys and 49 days. And what is Torah? Torah is, as I said before with regards to mitzvot, Torah is about integration. It's not about ascent. Torah is about grounding. You just left Egypt with fanfare. You got plagues. Not you got. There were plagues. Splitting of the sea. All of these spiritual wonders and amazing moments and highlight reels. And, the joke is, imagine if the Jews left Egypt today, they wouldn't even leave the sea. They'd be taking selfies. You imagine today? It's like, look what's going on. Like, everyone's live blogging from the sea. It's like Moses on a little, what do they call those megaphones things? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to move. The Egyptians are closing in. Please gather your belongings and let's keep on heading. Can you imagine what a balagan it would be? Before social media, right, it was a little bit easier to get through the sea. They got through the sea. Can you imagine the high they were on? And what is Sinai? Oh yeah, it was also a spectacle, the God's revelation and the Ten Commandments. But ultimately, what are the Ten Commandments? Honor your father and mother. Do not kill. Do not steal. Right? Respect family values. That's at the core. That's at the core of Torah. It's the core of the Ten Commandments. Meaning you're going from a spiritual high and like, oh my gosh, God loves me and it's amazing, to, okay, all right, here's how to live your life. Like a mensch, like a Jew. Here's how to live like a good, decent human being and like an empowered Jew. It's about grounding. And when you want to ground something, the number associated with that journey is not 42, it's 49. And now we need to ask the question, well, what's the difference between 42 and 49? You know what the answer is? 7. The difference between 42 and 49 is 7. What does that mean? Well, I have my handy dandy chart. I always laugh because I've printed this chart out probably hundreds of times over the years. It's unbelievable. This has served all of us so well, and me so well. We know that there are 7, so there are 10 sphirot, 10 energies. 3 of them are intellectual, right? 7 are emotional, and each of the 7 are also likewise composed of 7, right? Chesed, kindness. There's chesed of chesed, there's gvura of chesed, teferes of chesed, etc. Each one is combined, is interwoven of the others. Like a mosaic, it's not just one energy, it's one energy that also has shades of the other energies kind of mixed in. So each 7 has the other 7, 7 times 7 is 49. That explains 49, but what about the 42? If each energy has its energy, but it lacks the last one, malchut, then you have 7 times 6. And 7 times 6 is 42. You know what it means when you lack malchut? Last week we said, you know what malchut is? Grounding it. Malchut is making it real. Chesed, we said last week. Chesed, you wake up in the morning, you want to do something kind. I want to do something good. You wake up in the morning, I really want to do, you know what, I want to do something good today. What does that mean? How many things could you do that could be classified as good? Countless things. So if you just want to do something good, it's too vague. You'll need to process that and ultimately make a decision as to what you're actually going to do that is good, and then actually do it, and that requires a dose of malchut. Malchut is pragmatic. Malchut is bottom line, getting it done. Malchut indicates that you're taking everything, all the inspiration, you're grounding it. Malchut is groundedness. So when you wake up in the morning with a strong emotional chesed pull, that's great, but you might go to sleep that night also feeling that same chesed and not having done anything if you're lacking malchut. Malchut is what translates your feeling into action. Malchut is what grounds your feeling into something tangible, into something real, into something actionable, into something that is actually actionable. And so what does that mean for us? What that means is that when you have malchut present, it means that you're looking to get something done, grounding something. If you take out malchut, you take out that ingredient, that means that you're not looking to be grounded, you're looking to be transcendent. You with me on this? Let's say that one more time. In the structure of these sphirot energies, which we each have inside of us, when malchut is present and activated, it means that we're looking to ground something. We're looking to make something grounded and tangible and real. And if you take malchut out of the equation, you're not looking to be grounded, you're looking to be transcendent. That's why on the journey to the promised land, the journey to Israel, the journey of ascent, aliyah, there's no need for malchut because you're going up, you're not going down. And that's why you have 7 times 6. Even malchut does not have malchut in it. There's other energies of malchut, but malchut is missing the malchut of malchut. Everything is missing the last malchut, the last practical integration, which is why it's 7 times 6, 42 journeys. When you go up, it's 42. And when you want to ground something down, when you want to get to Torah and make it real and practical, bottom line, you're upset at someone, don't kill them. Do not kill. At the end of the day, don't actually pick up anything and strike them, God forbid. Practically speaking, you need malchut. 7 times 7, 49 days in preparation for receiving the Torah at Sinai, which is a grounded experience. In our lives, we have both modalities. There are moments of ascension. Those are our 42 moments. There are moments of groundedness. Those are our 49 moments. There are 42s and 49s. When we pray, it's a 42. We're davening to Hashem. We're not thinking about integration. We're not thinking about implementation. We're losing ourselves in our gratitude to God. We're not thinking about, when I go to work, how can I be nicer to my coworkers? We're not thinking about that at that moment. What are we thinking about? How great and amazing God is. How blessed we are to be in God's world, to be the beneficiaries of God's blessings. The gratitude that we have for God Almighty for giving us on the first basic level the elementary gift of breath and life each and every morning and throughout each day. That itself is worthy of thanks and gratitude. And that's a 42 moment. That's not grounded. That's losing ourselves in tefillah and prayer. On Yom Kippur, it's a day of 42. By the way, if you come on Yom Kippur and I drop the number 42, you'll be like, I know what that is. I know what we're talking about. No one else will know. Very select group of Kabbalists this morning that are going to know exactly what the secret of the 42 is. Yom Kippur is a day of 42. We're not being grounded on Yom Kippur. On the contrary, we're about floating, flying through the air, soaring like the angels. You want to be grounded? Break your fast and share a bagel with someone else. That's going to be grounded after Yom Kippur. You don't need to be grounded on Yom Kippur. Or make sure you integrate it afterwards. Otherwise, again, as I said before, it's a wasted opportunity. But Yom Kippur itself is a day of 42. But what about a Sunday morning? Kabbalah class. 42. Let your soul soar. Indulge in Kabbalah, in Torah study. Indulge in it. That's what Kabbalah is all about. And then, when the class concludes in a few minutes, and you go home, you get into the car, and someone cuts you off, take a deep breath. 49. 49. Not count down from 49. It's not a countdown. 49. Now what's my job? My job is to take all of the wonderful ideas and integrate it in my real lived experience. Because if I don't do that, then I wasted my 42. I need my 49 now, right? I need to integrate. And if I don't integrate, chaval. It's what a waste. It's a shame. We have more opportunities. Don't worry. It's not all or nothing. It's not like if we get it, if we miss an opportunity, then it's a disaster. It's not a disaster. Take it easy. No one's perfect. No one's a tzaddik. No one around the table is an angel. But what it means is simply this. We have moments of 42, and those are the moments that lack malchut. It's not about integration. It's about getting lost. I don't want to hear about what comes next. I just want to lose myself in this moment. I want to indulge in my spiritual experience sans malchut. I'm not integrating anything. I'm not grounding anything. Right? I'm soaring. I'm ascending. I'm transcending. And then there are moments of malchut, 49, 7 times 7, where I have malchut, and it's all about the integration. It's all about connectedness, and it's all about integration. It's all about transformation. It's all about making a difference. It's all about making things practical. There's the pragmatic side of it, and that's the 49. In life, the heart expands and the heart contracts. The lungs expand and the lungs contract. Our most basic biological functions recognize through their core being that for this to work, for this life to work, we need a perfect blend and a perfect harmony of the expansion and the contraction of the 42 and the 49. The biggest mistake that people make is to get lost in one over the other, or to prefer one over the other. You have the people that love to indulge in the meditation, and whatever, and then, practically speaking, you don't see it show up. Then you have the people that are all about the integration so much that they lost the inspiration. They're so integrated, they don't even know what they're integrating. The goal is to have a little bit of both. The goal is to have, not a little bit of both, a full measure of both. A lot of inspiration and a lot of integration. And it's possible. It's possible. What I'd like to do to close out this class, let me just double check that I'd like to do this. I think this is going to be a few paragraphs in here. Yep. Let's do this. 78. We're going to do a few paragraphs read this inside, just so you know that I'm not making this up. That it comes straight from the text, from this Kabbalistic text. Let's read this inside. Also, it's great to read it from the original. Please take and pass. Please take and pass. I hope we have enough copies. If not, oh, here, we have one more also. Please take and pass. Oh, the sphere, yes, absolutely. You got it? Okay. All right, let's get... Wow, look at that, not working. Okay, let's get this to work. Oh, we have plenty of copies? Okay, good. All right, we are on page. What page are we?
76.
70 what?
Where did you read it last week?
Hold on. We started chapter 6 last week.
Yes. Yes, sir.
We're going to page 78. 78. 42 and 49. Okay, here we go. Let me share this online. Hey, Mariana. Good to see you. All right, let's share this and let's see this inside. Okay. So we said last week, and we repeated today in the context of the numbers, that Malchut is all about integration and groundedness and making something real, taking chesed from a nebulous feeling of, oh, I want to do something kind, I want to do something nice, to like actually defining it in measurable good that is being done. So Malchut is all, and look, Malchut is at the bottom. So it's all about channeling it down practically. Malchut is pragmatism. It's about executive, action. It's about making something real. Okay, so 42 and 49. This is the general difference between the travels of the Israelites in the desert, which took part in 42 steps, and counting the Omer, which takes part in 49 days. Next page, page 80. The number of travels from Egypt to the Holy Land equaled 42, which is 7 times 6. 6 being representative of the 6 attributes. The 7th, Sphira Malchut, is not counted in that construct. Whereas the number of the days of the counting of the Omer, by contrast, is 49, which is 7 times 7, 7 being representative of the 7 Sephirot, which include Malchut. This is because, so meaning 42 is missing Malchut, 49 includes Malchut. So why is one without and one with? Here he says, this is because the travels from Egypt to Israel were an elevation from below to above. It's all about transcendence. You don't need Malchut. Malchut is going to get in the way, which is why Malchut is not counted. In the counting of the Omer, however, which is a flow and revelation from above to below, the sphere of Malchut is counted, and that's why you have the integration of Malchut, and it flows down. And by the way, that's why when we count the Omer, which one do we start from? Chesed Sheba Chesed, and we end with Malchut Sheba Malchut. It's all about flowing downward. It's all about that energy. In fact, if you want to think about it this way, there's 2 halves of the year, right? There's 2, first 6 months and then the last 6 months. And so you have Tishrei, the Rosh Hashanah, high holidays, Tishrei. I need to explain something now. Here we thought we were wrapping things up. Let me add a few more pieces to this. What modality how do you imagine the high holidays? Is it more of a mitzvah time or more of a prayer time? High holidays. Prayer, right? And prayer, we said, is moving up or moving down. What is prayer? Moving up. Tishrei is the month, is Rosh Hashanah. That's the month of Tishrei. Tishrei. Look at the letters of Tishrei. Taf, Shin, Resh. You know what that is? Those are the last 3 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. But in which order? Backwards order. If you wrote all the letters down, right, in single file, down, vertically, Taf, Shin, Resh, Yud, which direction are you going? Going up. It's a time of prayer. It's going up. The holiday of Passover, Pesach, Chodesh HaAviv. It's the month of the spring. Aviv, Aleph, Bet. Which direction is it going? Down. Prayer is about going up. And the Exodus, the month of Nisan, Exodus, and going to the Matan Torah, to the time we got the Torah, is about bringing things down. So going up, there's no Malchut, it's 42. Coming down has Malchut, 49. So my friends, this takes us to the end of our numerical journey today. It's all about the numbers. Do the numbers work? Yes, they work. The question is, what are we focused on? Are we focused on inspiration or are we focused on integration? And it's not a trick question. The answer is both. Maybe it is a trick question, right? Which one does Judaism prefer? Inspiration or integration? The answer is, it is a trick question. The answer is both. A nice, equal blend of inspiration and integration. You got to be inspired. If you're not inspired, then what are you integrating? If you're not inspired, then when you go to work, it's not going to look the way it needs to look. It's not going to look healthy. It's not going to look elevated. You have to have the inspiration, the integration. You can't just integrate without the inspiration. But on the other hand, if you just have the inspiration and you don't integrate it, what's up with that? You were just inspired and then nothing. And nothing came out of it. You got all excited. You had such a beautiful feeling. You prayed, you davened, you felt God in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. You felt God everywhere. And then what? Nothing. So what happened? So the Malchut was missing. No Malchut. What do they say? No shirt, no shoes, no service. No Malchut. No nothing. Garnished. Like what happened? No Malchut. Now what? What do we do without Malchut? There's no grounding. So we all in our lives, we need moments where Malchut is not there. Moments in which we lose ourselves. And the moments of integration. And it's healthy to know that both are necessary. Again, for far too long, people have made the mistake of believing, deifying one at the expense of the other. Communities that have said, no integration, we're not going to integrate, we're not going to be American, we're going to be cloistered, we're going to be separate, we're going to put up the ghetto walls, recreate the European ghettos in Brooklyn, and that's it. We're not going to have any outside influences, we're not going to have any impact in the world around us. We're just going to be steeped in Torah and tefillah and prayer and mitzvah and all that stuff. We're just going to be steeped in religion. And then, are you making the world a better place? No. What world? I don't even know the world. I blocked out the world. And then you have people that said, no, you got to be American. You got to be so American that how many people took their tefillin on the boats from Europe and threw them overboard? They said, we're going to America. Now we can be Americans. Be free of this whole burden. That's too much integration. Integration, but what are you integrating? Now you're just integrated, but you have nothing. You're not bringing anything with you. The balance is, and the trick is, the key is to take the authentic inspiration and ground it, to have moments where you lose yourself in authentic inspiration and then make it real. My blessing for all of us is to have one of those weeks where we lose ourselves in prayer. Here's my challenge. People like challenges. I remember there used to be the ice bucket challenge. Remember that? A few years ago, ice bucket challenge. I think I did that once. It was very cold, if I recall correctly. Anyway, the ice bucket challenge. Right? So this is not the ice bucket challenge, but this is the challenge. Challenge this week is one day this week. I let you choose the day and the time of day. Maybe in the morning. Morning is always good if that works for you. Some people are night people, whatever. One day this week, lose yourself in prayer. Now you might say, I don't know how to lose myself in prayer. I don't know. Try your best. Try your best. Lose yourself in something. Prayer, Torah study, Kabbalah, some sort of higher activity. Meditation. Try to keep it kosher and Jewish if you can, whatever. Sometimes the mantra chants are coming from, other sources. But try to keep it kosher, but try to lose yourself. So that's one thing. Practice your 42. But also practice your 49. Find a moment, it might be after that other moment of inspiration, a moment in which you are intentionally integrating. Where otherwise you might have had a fleeting thought or feeling about doing something kind or good, a chesed or a mitzvah, whatever it is, but maybe it might otherwise float off into the sunset and not happen. But this time, grab it and integrate it, exercise a little bit of malchut. So that's the homework this week. Find one moment, and by the way, if you're like, 1 moment, that's easy, then do 2. And if that's easy, do all 7 days, whatever. Challenge yourself. Don't only limit it to my thing. But I'm saying at least one. One time this week where you lose yourself in the inspiration, and another time this week, at least one time, where you grab something that's about to float away. Like you had a fleeting thought, like, oh, I should really call, what's his name or her name? I haven't spoken to, we'll do it another. No, grab it before it goes. Grab it and integrate it and act on it. And with this, we'll have the expansion and the contraction, and we'll be a little bit spiritually healthier this week. Thank you for joining. Let me know how it went. If I don't remember to ask you. Let me know how it went next week. Don't worry, this is not confession. In fact, our booth in the back is under construction. I'm kidding. We don't have a confession. But like, no, it's not. But like, if you have something to share next week, I would love to hear how your week went with his inspiration. In other words, what I'm really trying to say, what I'm trying to end the class with, if you found this last hour and 15 minutes to be inspiring, great, integrate it this week in something a little bit different. All right, thank you for joining. This week, what do we have? Monday, we have a class tomorrow, a fantastic class tomorrow, and lunch. Tuesday night, a class. There's nothing Wednesday. We don't have JLI. And we are back to other classes kind of as the summer comes to a conclusion. We'll get back to additional classes. But join us this week. Certainly Monday and Tuesday for the classes that we have. We have Shabbat as well. And of course, next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel. As far as the location, stay on your toes, keeping everybody on their toes. Secret location. I said before, what, you think when you wanted to study Kabbalah 1,000 years ago it was so easy? No, you had to find the group by the tree in the forest, and the right tree in the right forest. And if you made a wrong turn, you might have been lost for all time. Like you may have never gotten back. So this is, you got to find out where we are. Yeah.
So Wednesday is, my brother was telling me last night, is like a special.
Oh, Tu B'Av, the day of love,
Yeah.
the Jewish Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yes, that's what my brother was telling me last night.
The Talmud says that there weren't as great holidays. There were no other holidays amongst the Israel as the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur, it says. I'm like, what kind of Yom Kippur is that? Like, fun Yom Kippur? Like, that's better than whatever we're doing. But no, it says that the holidays weren't as great. The greatest holidays were Yom Kippur, I guess, in a spiritual way. And then the 15th of Av, it was a day that the young men and the young women went out into the fields and matches were made. Sparks were flying on that day. And it was the day of love, day of connection. And the Talmud discusses several reasons why it's a special day. Each of them is a little bit interesting. It's not, I would say it's not a holiday like that's observed, like it's not a holiday, but it's like it's a special day on the calendar. And what do we do on that day? I don't know.
They're going to away.
YJP, yeah. The young professionals always get together on that day, and they have the parties and whatever. It says that the young women would borrow each other's dresses, so that no one knew how wealthy one's family was, because no one was wearing their own dresses, and they would say, "Young men, don't look at the stuff of vanity. Look inside to what's really important." Anyway, very cool stuff. So, Wednesday, special day. Observe it as you wish. All right. Good to see you all. Great to see everybody today. Great to see you guys. All right, let me close out over here. Then we're going to schmooze. Dr. Maxie, great to see you. Everything good? Awesome. Great to see you. Natan, we were just talking about you this morning, Natan, and saying that we miss you. And whenever you can come back in person, we'd love to see you. Oh, good.
Ariel Steinberg said that you had a phenomenal, this was young professionals.
Yes. I did it last week or 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't even remember. Yeah, I gave a class over there. Nice group of people. Very cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Toko Thrills. That was great. Oh, Mark, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Come next week?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Don't let work get in the way. And Mariana, great to see you. How's everything? How you doing?
Very nice. Very nice.
I always think about you and send lots of love.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Regards to Alex and the family and the kids and the grandkids. All right, we'll see you soon. Take care. Take care.
The same to you and the family.
Amen. Thank you. Shavua Tov. Have a good week, everybody. Bye. Ramon, it's been